In this workshop today, I hope not only to give you some tools that you can use to identify your goals and to hone in on what the primary goals are and values that you hold for your position in your companies or for your company, but also to walk away from some action items that you can take with you and start the moment you walk out this door. So when it comes to information sharing, so when it comes to values, we have to phrase those, of course, in words and terms that we use. And so words and text and type and Twitter and Facebook posts have never been more important than ever before. We used to sit around we used to exchange information in our immediate circles. So we'd either sit at the breakfast table and read the newspaper and opine about the article we had just read, or we would sit campfire style around a television set. Does anybody remember sitting around a television set with appointment programming? That's almost unheard of now, unless it's a sports event, right? And so when we would listen to something or hear something or read something, we would communicate with each other. And those opinions were with our immediate circle of who we knew. And they understood the context from which our opinions came, right? They know us. They know why we're voicing that certain opinion. But in this day of social media and this barrage of information that we're getting every single day, our opinions get shared and have the potential of reaching audiences that we've never even met before. And so the context from which we're opining is often lost. And so now more than ever, we should be conscious, extremely conscious, of what those opinions are and what they are saying to the rest of the world. There are 7.4 billion people in the world. And if you just think about it, 2 billion of us are connected just via Facebook alone. That doesn't take into account Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter. We all know what Twitter can do. And so just with a simple like or a simple share, our opinions are transmitted across the globe. So the reason why this is important is because those opinions affect the people that are reading them. They affect the way they feel, the way they think, and the way they act. They affect how you feel, how you think, and how you act. And so we need to be very conscious of what our value system is and how we're expressing that in the social media landscape today. So to further illustrate this point, I'd like to get a couple of volunteers up with me. Does anybody want to join me? Nobody? You can't join me, you're my colleague. Okay, great, come on up. Anybody over here? Okay, awesome. Okay, so I will give you this one, and I would like you to come over here. So what's your name? Marsha. This is Marsha. And Marsha, are you from New York?
No.
Where are you from?
I live in Baltimore. I came up just for this.
Oh, that's awesome. So we have Marsha from Baltimore, and then we have Morgan. We have Morgan from New York. Okay, perfect. So Morgan, I would like for you to read. Actually, why don't you come up here, because this is live stream, they need to have the audio. I want you to read the words on your beach ball.
One after another?
Yep.
Justice, equality, diversity, unity, empathy, honesty.
Okay, great. So pretend you're a volleyball player, and I want you to set the ball out into the audience. Yeah, really, there you go. Awesome. Well, what do you want to do with it? Okay, there you go. Okay. Oops. How else do we want to do this ball? There we go. Okay. Woo! Whoa! Unintended consequences. You want to throw it over there? Okay, great. So honesty, diversity. What else is on there? Justice, empathy, unity. How do those words make you feel? They make you feel powerful, right? They make you feel like you want to belong. They make you feel like you want to be a part of this, right? So now, Marsha, come up and read these words.
Bigotry, racism, prejudice, hate, sexism, ignorance.
Okay, now launch your ball. Okay. All right, should we keep it going? No. We don't want to keep that ball going, do we? So thank you, ladies. I really appreciate it. So if this would have been a little bigger space and the room would have gone a little deeper, we probably would have seen these balls travel a little farther, but we're in a very intimate space here. So we saw the volley back and forth, though. And do we agree as a group that the volley was a lot more fun with the positive affirmation ball? We kind of wanted to put our fingerprints on that one, right? But then when the ball had racism, bigotry, hatred, we, as a group, didn't really want to play that game anymore, right? It lost its fervor, it lost its fun. And there are 3 scenarios, though, that could have happened with this ball, with these balls being launched into the air. The first one happened. We launched it. You all as a group dutifully chipped in. You volleyed it back, and you kept it going. And you smiled, and you participated. With the negative affirmation ball, you kind of shunned away from it, but it kind of kept going back and forth, but with not as much fervor. The second scenario that could have happened with this ball is that we could have launched it to you, and you could have just watched it drop. In fact, I think that's what happened with the negative ball, is it kind of just dropped, and no one was eager to pick it up. But then there's a third scenario that could have taken place with the ball, and that's when we launched it out into the space. Instead of it gaining momentum, instead of it gaining energy, instead of putting our fingerprints on it, we could have just caught it and stopped the momentum and stopped the energy that was behind it. And that makes a lot of sense for the negative ball, right? Now, if it were just to have fallen on the ground, it's still there. It's still in the room, and it had the potential of being picked back up again and the momentum to be put back into those messages. But when we catch it, when we reach up in the air and we hold on to it like a basketball center saying, I'm not going to let this go anywhere, we've stopped that momentum, and we've taken responsibility. And we say the buck stops here. The buck stops here with racism, bigotry, divisiveness, hatred, and the like. And so that's kind of what we want to illustrate today in this workshop, is the values we hold are great, but unless we act upon those values, like Gloria says, then they're useless. So we're here today to talk about embracing our value system. So let me further illustrate. And I totally forgot I had a PowerPoint, so here we go. There we go. Has anybody heard of Dr. Emoto's ice experiment? Okay, now my husband would laugh me out of this room if I said it to him that it's an experiment, because it wasn't a double-blind study, it wasn't done under scientific conditions, and who knows if it could even be replicable. But what's really interesting about this experiment is we're going to use it as a metaphor, kind of to tie in the energy that was associated with these balls that were launched. Every time I say the word balls, it just shocks me. With these balloons that were launched into the crowd. So what he did is he took 3 jars of water. And for the first jar, he gave positive affirmations to them. And he said that you're kind, you're important, you matter to me, you're a success, I believe in you. And then the second and third jars of water, he either played heavy metal rock music, or he gave negative affirmations to. You're ugly, you don't belong, you're not worthy, you're different, and different is bad. You're not like us. And what he found is when he froze the water, that the positive affirmation jar formed these beautiful snowflake-like crystals. But with the heavy metal and the negative jars, they were disformed and misshapen and ugly. And so his argument is that everything in the universe has energy. So our hair has a different frequency than our livers, than this chair, than the podium, than the mic. Everything on earth has an energy frequency. And he charges that even words have an energy frequency. And we kind of felt that. We felt that in the room when we just heard the negative words and the ball was launched. it didn't even feel good to be a part of that. And so that's his metaphor, is that we need to be cognizant of the words that we use so that we know the energy we're imparting on other people. So I liken our communication to like being a drop in a pond. You know, a pond is very still. There's no movement. There's no current. Maybe on the underneath there's fish running around, swimming around, but it's really pretty still until that first raindrop. And when that raindrop hits the pond, there's a huge ripple effect from one drop of water. And so I look at each and every one of us today as a drop in this pond for women's parity, a drop in the pond for the values that we hold. Now, I have some pretty firm values, and I'm not here to impart my value system on you. You might notice that I'll lean a little bit liberal, so forgive me. But we all have a value system, and whatever that is, we need to stand up for it, because if you don't stand for it, then you're going to fall for anything. And so this is the workshop where you align what you feel and think in your heart with what you do every day, and then that makes your life more impactful. That makes your life more meaningful. Now, trust me, I am no Pollyanna. If you're on my Twitter feed, you will see that I am retweeting some of the snarkiest stuff on the planet. However, I do try every day to align what I'm doing with impact to actually make a difference and to create that ripple effect, that butterfly effect, to influence and help change the minds of others. So I'd like to circle back and kind of describe why this is important to me personally. So during the election, I had pumped this thing up to my daughters. I have a son and 2 daughters, and I had pumped this up to my daughters saying, this is history. You are going to witness history in the making. This is the first time a woman has ever been nominated to a national political party. And regardless of your politics, that's super cool as a woman. And so, I mean, literally, we have never had a woman at the threshold of such power, of a world leader for the United States in all of history. And so we popped popcorn. I jazzed my teenagers up, convincing them that this was going to be a good time. And we sat on the couch on the West Coast waiting to watch the results of the election. And we were waiting for the first woman to become president. Well, we all know that didn't happen. And so I became numb. And I retreated, and I was just kind of withdrawn into my shell, and I didn't really feel motivated too much of anything for weeks. And then one moment, as I woke up, I typically do what all of us do. We grab our phone and we scroll through the news alerts, right, to see what's happened now. And so we scroll through the news alerts, and I noticed that there was a travel ban, a Muslim travel ban. And no longer was I numb. I was outraged. I sat up in bed. I said, what? This is the United States of America. We are founded on religious freedom. How in the world could this be happening? This is not my America. These are not my people. This is not what we believe in. How is this happening? And I got angry and propelled to do something. Well, I wasn't going to run for office. Although Patricia's speech, makes all of us feel like we could run for office. And I'm not an activist, so what am I going to do? Well, I did what any frustrated American would do at a time of need, is I went on the internet and I did some resale therapy. And I went shopping. I went shopping for a shirt to resist, a shirt to nasty woman my way out of this and to proclaim that I don't stand up for this value system. This is not who we are. And then I realized that, I could buy this shirt and I could be supporting that movement, but it's really ugly and it's not made out of very good material, and so I'd probably only wear it to bed. So what's the point? So then I'm like, had an aha moment. Necessity is the mother of an invention. So I said, I'm going to create a new brand. I'm going to create a brand where I can raise money to support nonprofits that have boots on the ground, that are fighting against racism, bigotry, hatred, immigrant discrimination, and sexism, aka groups like Take the Lead, that are empowering women to take that step forward and to be a drop in their pond. And so I did. Now, I realized that taking a stand and drawing that line in the sand, that I would probably lose 25 to 30% of my users. I have a site, Everyday Dishes, and we create, as Deepti told you in my introduction, we create recipes for women that are busy, that want to put wholesome meals on the table. I started this as a result of being a little bit intimidated by Top Chef and knowing that a rack of lamb was not going to fly with my kids. So it's casseroles, skillet meals, slow cooker recipes, and I have a robust following of busy, beautiful women, mostly women. And I realized that drawing this line in the sand, I may lose some of them. They may not agree with me. But today, more than ever, I think you have to stand for what you believe in. I think you have to draw a line in the sand. And your value system may not mimic mine, and I'm not telling you you should. But whatever you believe in, today is the time to share it. Today is the time to draw that line in the sand, say the buck stops here, grab a hold of that ball. Grab a hold of the balls. There's probably 1,000 balls flying over our heads with negativity. Grab one of them, hold on to it, and say, I'm not going to let the energy go any further than me. I'm going to stop it. Thank you. Let's bring this kind of ideology to work for you. So you might have bags on the back of your chairs, or there's no cards in your chair. If you don't have them on the front row, Erica, you want to grab some of the cards or the bags? And so let's break out and let's have you work through this exercise that I did with my team at Everyday Dishes. I said, you know what? We've got to define our goals, our core values, and we have to put a mission statement together. Now, if you've ever done any branding session, you have done this. But do this today with the lens on my personal value system. Not necessarily the values of your company, but your personal value system. And we're going to work through on how you can implement, how you can create that ripple effect of change to help propel what you believe in. So on the back, I have listed some of the core values of some of the most successful Fortune 500 companies. Use those as inspiration. But what I would like you to do is kind of let that stimulate you. I'd like you to find a partner, someone that you have not met before. Talk to her and tell her who you are, where you're from, and what role you have in your company. And then identify three goals, or three values, and then put together your mission statement. So for example, for Love Over Hate, our three values that we wanted to illustrate most of all is that we are socially conscious, we believe in diversity and equal rights. And so from that, we created the mission statement that we help socially conscious people who champion diversity, and Love Over Hate is the catalyst that supports the like-minded nonprofits because we believe in we believe in equal rights for everyone. So take a minute, work on your goals, or you work on your values and your mission statement, and then we'll come back and we'll do the second half of the project. And why do I call it a funnel and not a spiral? Well, the reason why I call it a funnel is because again, we're talking about values and the words that are associated with values and the gravity are surrounding those words. And I feel as though when I say spiral, it always seems to be negative, like I'm spiraling out of control. It's a negative spiral. It's a spiral downward. And so I want to seed this with core values, and I want to push up, and I want to spin and bring up and lift up and create this storm of movement so that it can spit out an effect. And so we're going to seed what we truly believe in with our core value system, our core goals, our core values, and then create that mission statement that goes along with it. And now what I want you to do is turn to your partner and say, okay, I might be a little cog in this wheel of my organization, or I might just be starting a company and don't have a lot of resources. Like, for example, I would love to be the leading authority on socially progressive and social consciousness in apparel. That's a pretty big goal, right? I'm not going to get that done in 30 days. So, but what I can do is I can make that first drop in the pond And I can create that momentum and that movement to lead me to that goal that maybe is a 3 or 5 year goal. So what I'd like you to do is think about what you could do in the next 30 days that would help push this goal along. So work with your partner and come up with something you can do in 30 days. For example, my 30 days is I want to research, identify, and culminate and cultivate relationships with 5 influencers that I feel align with my value system for love over hate. As a new company, I want to go to where the audience is. I don't want to have to try to start building an audience all on my own. So I want to align myself with 5 influencers that align with me. I can get that done in 30 days. So what can you do to drop in your pond? And this doesn't have to be for the large organization. It could be on any initiative, any project, anything that you're working on currently. How can you affect what's in your world and what you're touching and working on daily? So let's put an action into place. So change starts with a tiny drop. Change starts with the smallest of movement, the butterfly effect, right? So the tiniest drop in the pond will create the movement. Everybody's very intrigued. I'll let them finish. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know you guys are having some great conversations, but in the respect for the time frame for this particular workshop, I have to keep going. So if you'll wrap up your conversations, we can pick this up offline. Perfect. Thank you. So change starts with a single drop, right, in the pond with the ripple effect, the butterfly effect, if you will. So one small change that you make is going to affect something else that someone else will do. So could I have a couple of you to volunteer what your core value goals that you, or core values that you identified, what your mission statement is from those values, and then what action you want to implement in the next 30 days. Would anybody like to volunteer to share with us what they came up with? Yes, please come up here. Alethea? Alethea, sorry.
Okay. So my name's Alethea Chang Fitzpatrick. I'm a women's leadership and photography coach with Photosanity, which is a company that I started. So I've done some of those values and mission work before, but the 3 words I chose in this particular moment were authenticity, connection, and courage. And my mission statement, we help courageous women who want to increase their personal and professional impact without sacrificing themselves in the process. And Photosanity is the accelerator that promotes authenticity and courage because we believe that inclusive models of leadership rather than hierarchical models of leadership will create a better world for all.
And what action item are you going to do?
I really just want to be of service, so I would like in the next 30 days to impact at least 30 people in terms of accelerating their own growth and impact, which may be, you know, anything from just a conversation, you know, at a conference like this to phone calls, lunch, coffee, all the way into, you know, workshops with organizations and my private coaching clients.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alethea. Anyone else want to share their goal, their values, and their mission statement? And an action item that they'd like to implement in the next 30 days? Another example would be, suppose that your company is really trying to bridge the gender gap, trying to bridge the disparity between men and women. Something that you could implement in your company is say, well, look, you know, women typically have an undue lion's share of the child rearing responsibilities. And so because we do believe in gender equality in our company, then why don't we provide a daycare service so that young mothers of young children aren't overburdened with some of the things that come into play when you have young children at home. So taking those types of small initiatives speak volumes for the people that you work with, your colleagues, your bosses, and the decision makers. And you might be one of them. but the people in your organization that can really advance your agenda, really advance the gender parity that we're all seeking here today. Okay, does anybody else want to share? This is your, what do they call it, 7 seconds of fame? So according to the author and serial entrepreneur James Altucher, he argues that if you better yourself by 1% every day, that it compounds each day and it will double every 72 days. That's pretty amazing, right? Just think about what you could do then if you can do that personally with yourself, if you can work on self-improvement, just 1% each day. I'm going to read one more page of the newspaper. I'm going to do 15 more seconds in my plank. Whatever it is, I'm going to add 30 seconds to my sprint. I'm going to read to my daughter 30 more minutes or 10 more minutes each night. If you try to better yourself, 1% every day, I'm going to say hello to 3 of my colleagues that I rarely talk to. If you try to better yourself every day, it's going to compound. And just think of the advanced world you'll live in, and you've had a part of that. And you were the catalyst for that. And you were the one that started the ripple effect. So I think that's pretty powerful stuff. But this is all nice and warm and fuzzy, and it's nice to talk about our goals and our values and make a mission statement. And it's really, it's helpful to write something down and to hold ourselves accountable. But why should we care? I failed to mention in the beginning that 33% polled during the travel ban believed that we should be banning Muslims from these 5 countries. 33%. And I was going to say in the beginning, I don't believe it, when I was in my tizzy. I don't believe this. This is not America, that part. I was going to say that, but I forgot. And so I have to circle back now and say, why is that 33% number relevant? That 33% number is relevant, even though I don't believe it's that high, because we outnumber them by 2/3. We don't believe that there should be a travel ban. We don't believe in divisiveness. We don't believe in the hate rhetoric. We don't believe in pushing that agenda forward. And the reason why it matters is because we are consumers, and consumers vote with their purse. So each and every one of us is here because we have a job, and we're accountable to our bosses, or we're trying to make our business's succeed. And so if you look at these statistics, you'll see that 33% of consumers are choosing to buy from brands that they believe are doing either social or environmental good. 33%. Now that's across all sectors. If you just look at millennials, who are the target for most advertising campaigns, that number jumps almost to 90%. That's significant. And 84% of Americans believe that businesses have the responsibility of bringing on social change and important issues. So 84% of consumers across all sectors think it's the corporation's responsibility for social change, not our representatives, not the president, our corporations. And we'll hold them accountable as a consumer and with the power of our purse. And 81% believe that corporations should take action, not sit and watch the ball fly over their head, not duck out of the way and say, I'm not participating in the hate rhetoric, therefore I'm not at fault. Because no action means culpability in today's world. And so if you are a part of a corporation that can take that step forward, that can be the drop in the pond, that can start the momentum in the right direction, your consumer is going to pay it forward tenfold. Your consumer will support you. Because remember, we outnumber them, and there's power in numbers. And 88% believe corporations hold the power of influence. So the squeaky wheels might be getting the grease right now, but we need to be squeakier because the other 3 wheels are extremely important in today's culture. And this is why we wear the shirt. We wear our values on our sleeve. And today, speaking of values on our sleeve, we have the 2018, where am I? The 2018 Powertopia event t-shirt from Love Over Hate with our mission on its sleeve. And 100% of those proceeds today are going to the Take the Lead organization. And if you're online and watching this via simulcast, you can go to loveoverh8.com and click on the Take the Lead tab at the top of the left-hand corner. And so if with you deciding to vote with your purse to support organizations that have boots on the ground, that are fighting against sexism, racism, anti-Semitism, bigotry, and hate, you will be showing the squeaky wheels as there's no place and they need to go back to hiding. So wear the shirt. Thank you. I founded Love Over Hate Apparel because of the rise in divisiveness I was hearing in our country, and I realized that that's truly just a slice of the American people, and that really the bulk of us wants to celebrate diversity, wants to celebrate inclusiveness, and really wants to champion love over hate. I was so thrilled when I had the opportunity to meet Jaleh and Sourcing Theory, because she espouses the belief system that I so wholeheartedly am passionate about. Employing immigrants that give back to our communities and our society. And to be able to have Love Over Hate Apparel made in the United States, that was such a win-win for me.
It's nice to work with brands that care about the people that make the product and the process of the product. They hold a lot of the same values that we have: social justice and just the general concept of appreciation and quality product that's made domestically with good people.
So my passion is to have clothing that is super yummy and comfortable, but also gives back.